there's a hierarchy of cool for motorcycles. At the top of that chain is knuckleheads, and then trickles down from there. Big twins are the way to go. 4 gears, you can cruise on the highway. British bikes will not cruise on the highway. If you want to do any kind of self-introspection on a motorcycle, you have to be able to get away from town. And I think on a big twin is the way to do that.
What's up, y'all? I'm Joey Cano from Prism Supply, and this is our series, My Garage. Today, we're in San Antonio, Texas, featuring Joey Cano. Joey is a well-known painter and motorcycle builder, and also owns a bar right in the heart of San Antonio called the Lonesome Rose. Joey, this space is insanely clean and organized. Tell us the honest truth. Did you do that just because we were coming, or do you keep it this way for the most part? Always.
I bought my first broom yesterday. So it's a little less dusty in here than usual. I was excited to have y'all come pay a visit, so I wanted it as clean as possible.
Appreciate that. Give us a little rundown about the space. Overall size, what type of work you do in here, how it's divided.
I got a shared shop space, 3,200 square feet. This front half, I do most of my drinking and mechanics work, and the real work gets done in the paint booth back there. I have my old Sears lathe that is just big enough to get me into trouble with the motorcycles.
So you machine everything for your bikes on this, so wheel spacers, you name it.
I think wheel spacers just about covers everything.
I was like, I couldn't think of anything else. You've been well known in the scene for a while now. How'd you get into it? How'd you get started?
I kind of grew up around bikes. My dad put together a few shovel heads in the garage when I was growing up, and I was able to help hold the flashlight and things like that, and get yelled at for holding the flashlight wrong plenty of times to pick up a few things. And when I put my first bike together, I decided to try painting it myself because—
How old were you at this time?
I was 20 years old, and it was terrible. I stripped it all down, I redid it twice, and then on the next bike, I did the same thing with that. I painted it once, wasn't happy with it, painted it again. At one point I read that Alden Ness built the same bike over and over again to hone his craft. And so I thought if Alden Ness can do it, there's no shame in that either.
Did you have a mentor that taught you this?
No.
Train you?
I am probably, to my own disadvantage, stubbornly opposed to asking other people advice and questions for secrets that they had to learn the hard way. So I have gone down the narrow path of learning things the hard way myself, and I will fuck it up 3 or 4 times before I get it right. But then after that, I know how to do that forever.
I love that. You built this bike here.
I did build this bike, and I styled it after old British bikes mostly, so it's got a ton of British parts on it. My first bike was a Triumph, and I kind of want to keep that British theme going on all of my personal bikes.
It definitely does have that British look to it. Everything's like small and shrunk in.
I've had it confused for a British bike and also a Sportster. Everyone says nice Sportster.
No, my favorite thing about this bike is the exhaust. For whatever reason, the exhaust is feels unique to me and new.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Yeah, of course.
The pipes are another British component that I ripped off from a 30s BSA. I saw a picture of one with this style of pipe, and I thought, I've never seen that on a big twin, so I decided to give it a shot. I get asked a lot if it gets hot on my leg, and it doesn't, only when it's running though.
I see a lot of your style in the bikes that you build is very British inspired, but they're always Harley-Davidsons. You talk about originally riding these British bikes. How'd you transition into Harleys eventually?
I think it's a natural progression. There's a hierarchy of cool for motorcycles. At the top of that chain is knuckleheads, and then trickles down from there. Big twins are the way to go. 4 gears, you can cruise on the highway. British bikes will not cruise on the highway. If you want to do any kind of self-introspection on a motorcycle, you have to be able to get away from town. And I think on a big twin is the way to do that. Big twins, I think when you're cruising them on the highway and you get into a zone, they have a frequency that meshes with your soul and yourself. It's conducive to meditation in a way, more so than the higher RPMs of a British bike or any other bike that I've ridden.
This right here is that's a big honor.
That was a big honor. That kind of changed my life, changed my perspective on motorcycles and cars and how custom a custom could be without looking silly.
Well, my favorite thing about this show specifically is there's no boundaries. Here in America, I feel like we set boundaries on what a chopper should look like or what a hot rod should look like.
Yeah. It's not as paint by numbers, and as much as I do appreciate a good classic paint by numbers chopper, the Japanese will take that, invert it, and still come out with something amazing that you have truly never seen before.
Yeah, what bike was it? How'd you get invited there? What's the deal?
I built a narrow knucklehead for Born Free. I was graciously—
That's the blue bike with the gold on the tank?
It is.
It's probably my favorite, one of my top 5 favorite bikes of all time. I swear on my life.
Thank you, thank you. I really appreciate that. I put a lot into that bike, kind of going after the early 60s Ed Roth style of show bike. And they were usually Triumphs that did those kind of little tiny motorcycle things, so I wanted to do that with a big twin. It had been done before, but I just wanted to do it my own way. And I did learn a lot on that one. So I took that to Born Free. I was awarded the Builder's Choice for that one.
Yeah.
And they flew it out to Yokohama for a Moon Eye show.
And then aside from motorcycles, the other thing I learned is like how nice it really was and how genuine.
Super gracious.
Was. Yeah, super gracious.
I met some people there that I still keep in contact with now. Amazing painters that I look up to. Again, love your art. Shout out to him. I respect his work so much, and it was great to be able to hang out with him in his own territory.
This is the latest project you're working on for Matty Matheson with Matt Jackson.
I call Matt Jackson, I always have. I call him Matty too. So this is Matty's bike that's Matty's
for
building.
Matty.
Yeah, for Matty.
For Matty?
Yeah. The double Matty happening here.
Did either Matty give you any direction on this, or was just like...
Matty gave me pretty much full direction. He grew some eggplant in his garden, and he sent me a bunch of pictures of his eggplants that he was growing, and he said, I want this on a motorcycle.
Whoa.
With heavy pebble base, and I was happy to oblige.
So do you paint it all, I guess you have to, it's kind of a dumb question, like all individually, but how do you like get everything to flow right when you're fading things?
I have to have a pretty good visual in my head before I start, and then I will...
Or even like here, like where the top of the oil tank is dark and the top of the frame here is dark. Like how do you...
Sometimes it's just happy, what did Bob Ross used to say? Happy little coincidences.
Yeah, there you go.
So there's a lot of those. And really it's just having a good understanding of the way the components fit together and how they flow and the way the paint job will look once it's assembled. There's a lot of mocking up in between coats and things like that just to make sure I'm kind of on the right path. But really a good mental visualization is the key to something like that.
What paint job are you most proud of?
The paint job that I'm most proud of is usually the one that I just finished. So right now it's this one.
Cool.
Before that it was this one. Before that it was a paint job before that one.
Right. So not one particular.
No, and I have to be able to honestly tell my customer this is my favorite paint job that I've ever done. Personally, I like more subtle and subdued paintwork on my personal bikes. I want the motorcycle to look good as a silhouette. If I just saw the motorcycle as a black image on a white screen, it should look balanced. My personal bike is black and it's gonna stay black. It's kind of that old cliche that the cobbler's children wear no shoes.
You probably didn't even paint your bike, did you?
No, it's rattle can.
Yeah, exactly.
It's Walmart rattle can paint, yeah.
I feel like it's hard to find the right balance of like talented painters and visionary painters.
I think what's more important than the technical perfection of building or painting is the style. The old choppers that they were putting together on a garage floor, welding with a torch and coat hangers, and they would build the bikes that we're imitating now. So the technique isn't as important as the style, and as long as you look good when you're on it,
that's what matters.
That's the most important part.
Agreed. Do you have any advice that you would give to anybody that wants to get into building a motorcycle or into the paint scene?
For people that are interested in motorcycles, they want to get in motorcycles, the way to do it, in my opinion, is to just jump in and go for it. You're going to spend money, you're going to mess up.
You're going to lose money.
You're going to lose money. If you want to make money in motorcycles, find a different career. It's a labor of love, and you really have to love it, and you have to love the mistakes that go along with it. Like that old saying, it's not about the destination. It is the journey. Building the bikes is a part of that journey and part of that process. The building and the painting goes along with that. And that includes failures and triumphs and glories, your highs and your lows. Motorcycles encompass all of that. And I'm sure there's a way to wrap that into a metaphor about life, but maybe we'll do that later at the bar.
Yeah, we'll get deep later.
Yeah.
That's it for this episode of My Garage. Joey, thanks so much for your time today. Where can we find you?
You can find me at the Lonesome Rose. I'll be sitting at the bar.
Where can we find you online? Anywhere online?
Yeah, I have an Instagram, Joey_Cano_.
Cool. Thank you, Joey. Let's go to Lonesome Rose. Let's get out of here.
Let's go.